Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lab Reports, where we live, love, lab. Today, we have an interview with one of our biggest fans. He always reports back to us when he sees our podcast.
Yes.
He was one of the only people to give us the signal, the hand signal, when we talked about it.
Y'all slacking. Y'all slacking.
But anyway, besides being one of our biggest viewers, he is also a professor at Fordham University. He is a researcher at Columbia University, and he's also in neuroscience. He's a man of many positions, and he always approaches them with such optimism and such enthusiasm. Like, he has a very infectious energy. He was that professor who would wear like the T-shirts that were themed for what we were learning that day.
Yes,
like, he's
I
such an
loved
enthusiastic educator, and for that reason, we are extremely excited to have his interview shared with you guys today. We think there's a lot that you can get out of it, and you guys will also fall in love with him as much as we have.
For sure.
So who is this mystery man? His name is Dr. Danny Florez-Paz.
Yes, and he was also Talia and I's neuroscience lab professor. And last semester, Talia TA'd for him, and this semester, I'm TAing for him. So, he's been in our lives for the past 2 years, and I'm really excited to have him on. I mean, his support really is so special for our podcast, and he's a big advocate for women in STEM and people of color in STEM, and I really hope you guys enjoy his interview because he has a lot of great stories to share and he has a lot of great insight.
Yeah, so with that, let's get into it.
Hi everyone, so today we're here with Dr. Flores as we introduced, and we're just here to talk about his journey in STEM, get a little bit more insight on him, and he was both Talia and I's professor, and then we both TA'd for him, so we're excited to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. I know these two little girls 2 years ago since I was your teacher in neuroscience lab. So happy that you're doing this. I support you 100%. This is a great step because one part of the important part of the scientific community is spread the word and communicate what you're doing and all the doubts that people can have. So this is great. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, your support means so much to us. It makes me feel so good every time we see you and you mention something for our last episode. See, you're the only one who did it. So thank you, Dr. Flores.
Yeah, so just to start, we'd like you to just tell us a little bit about how you got into the career that you're in now. What brought you to neuroscience, and then what eventually brought you to research and teaching.
Okay, so I'm going to start with what I'm doing right now and what was my process. So right now, I'm a associated research scientist at Columbia University, which is a category like a postdoc that has been so many years there. So I started my postdoc at Columbia 2016, and this is my second lab. I'm been in this lab for 5 years, and I starting to be more independent, and I got a grant from NIH recently. So the idea is to start the new lab in craniofacial research studies. But my journey started in my home country. I'm from Colombia, which is, when you study science in Colombia, there at that time it was more focused in the study of science for the environment or plants mostly, but neuroscience was not a huge topic. That was 20 something years ago, so I'm not going to tell you how many years I was there. But that time, when I was kid, basically my idea was always to study. I was very curious about science, basically because in my family, my only aunt in my mother's side, she was with Down syndrome. She had a Down syndrome, and we loved her. She was like my aunt, and I grow basically sewing her all the time at home, and I was wondering why is she like that? Why is she behaving that way, or why she is different than other people? So I when I grow up, I decided to become a genetist, and my idea when I was 10 or 12 was to become a doctor that specialized in genetics, and I thought that was my path. But once I start applying for university, um, I think the life put you in the right path. So I didn't pass the exam for medicine, which was very frustrated. I was shocked, and I thought like I'm gonna spend another year until the next exam, and I will try to pass. But in that same moment, I realized there was another career. It was biology, and I thought, okay, let's do biology maybe for a year, and then I switch. And at some point in that process, somebody approached me and say, "Is this the question that I grateful all the time? Is like, what do you want to be?" And I start thinking like, do I want to be with patients or do I want to do science? And that person told me, if you want to do science, study biology. And I start the class and the classes in biology, and that was I fell in love with the science because you see microbiology, you see biology in plants, animal biology, physiology, embryology, all of those that approach you to more in the scientific aspect, not in the pathological aspect of the career. But since then, I fell in love with science. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, my university didn't have like anything to do with neuroscience. But a few years after I started, there was a new teacher. She was from Cuba, and she started like a program, a like little small program in neuroscience. She has so many ideas. She was so excited to bring the program, and I was one of her first students.
Wow.
In neuroscience, just learning techniques with the rudimentary things that we have at that moment. Um, so I'm very grateful for her opportunity. But when I was about to graduate, at that time we had to do like a little period of time working and doing like a thesis project. So I didn't have any chance to do it in any career, in any part related with neuroscience or something similar. So I have to do it with plants because that was the main. Yes, I know. Imagine me working with plants. So, but it was a great opportunity because that helped me to moving from Colombia to Costa Rica, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity because that opened my eyes to all the possibilities of science. Even though I was working there for a year and a half, and I have a very good experience. Even though I have to wake at 6 a.m. to go and look I was working with plantains, so I had to check leaves of plantains every single morning. Go there to the plantations. It was tough, but after that period of time, I decided no, I don't want to work with plants. I want to do clinical science or something related with neuroscience. And then I looked the opportunity to apply for grants, and finally I got a master grant that allowed me to move to Spain. I did a master in biotechnology, which is 2 years more or less, plus a period of also thesis project. And before I was planning to go back to Colombia, I applied for another grant from the government of Spain, and it was for a PhD program. And I was lucky that I was chosen for that grant, and I started in neuroscience. I mean, long story short, because there are many little stories in the middle, but that is how I got into the neuroscience program. I had no idea in that moment the project I was gonna get involved, but I just want to work with animals. I just want to go want to work with in the neuroscience field. But I was lucky that the project that I start in my PhD program, I was so excited after a month that I was there.
Incredible.
Yeah, that really is. Wow, you moved around a lot. I didn't
Yes.
even know that, Dr. Flores.
Yes. I mean that helped me a little bit, like having experience with plants, even though it's not that I hate plants, but I don't like to. I mean that help you to see more the broad spectrum of the science that you can do in different sense, and it help you with the teaching also. Because
Yeah,
we,
I
as
mean,
you
that's
know,
true. We do
That
a
makes
lot
a lot
of
of
plants
sense. Yeah.
in Gen Bio. Well, so you got your PhD in Colombia?
No, that is sorry. That my PhD was in Spain.
Okay.
That was in the Miguel Hernandez University in Alicante, and the PhD topic was about proprioception.
Oh wow.
So proprioception, is the capacity of the body to identify the limbs, where they are, and the movement, how the muscle send information to the central nervous system of the limb position, and stretching and contraction of the muscle. And basically, my project was focused in the mechanotransduction that happens in the sensory cell. So, in science, in neuroscience in general, specifically in the mechanotransduction part, at that time, 10 years ago, yes, no, oh my God, 14 years ago, I started my PhD 2010 and I finished in 2016. But that time, the mechanotransduction was mostly studied in the skin because it's where we sense all our, different sensation like pressure or more soft stimulations. So all the research was mostly done in the skin, but nobody was studying what happened in the muscle because muscles also have to detect the changes in the stretch. So, but that time, there were some channels that are expressing in our neurons that were able to identify some mechanical stimulation, but none of them were like the key. None of them were like the final channel. But there was a researcher which he described a new family of channels. It was PSO1 and PSO2, the PSO family. Um, and many people start working in those channels in the skin, and we decided to make an approach in the a muscle, using as a model the masseter muscle, this muscle that we use to move our jaw. And it was super exciting because we were exploring many channels to see how the muscle responds. And some of them show some responses, some of them were like not effective. But when we tried that PSO2 channel and we start looking for ways to block that channel using knockout animals, we obtained amazing results. That was super exciting. It was one of the moments that I say, okay, this is fantastic. I hope everyone gets some point those kind of feelings when you like, oh, I found it. Because it's very excited. We obtained the first animal that were knockout for that specific channel only in the receptors for the muscles. And we noticed a huge phenotype in that animal. And we start doing tests, and we noticed that the sensory cell, the proprioceptors, do not respond anymore to mechanical stimulation. And basically, that was it. I mean, we tried to publish the data. Unfortunately, right before we were about to publish, the person who discovered the channels originally, he was working in the same experiments, doing the same project.
No.
The only difference was he was using the ERGs, was the sensory cells that are expressing in our spinal cord, and we were using the masseter and some model proprioceptive cells that are in the brainstem. But he published that data similar to ours, and that was my PhD paper. So I was devastated. I was
I can
so
imagine.
sad.
That'd be like, oh my god, I don't even know what I would do.
It was 5 years of work. My boss she was very supportive. She's a great scientist, but we always want to do more for that project. And once it was published, we have everything ready. So we only try to publish the paper anyway in some other journals to show how we can back to back, because that sometimes happens. You can publish two groups can publish same similar paper if they are not exactly the same, of course. But we have that advantage. For instance, we have behavior, which I think in addition they cannot put like somewhere here videos of the behavior. Um, in which you can see actually the phenotype of the animal is very, uh, impressive, the way the animals move without proprioception. And we finally published the paper, but in a lower impact journal than he was published the paper. And the more amazing part is that 5 years later, after his publication, Dr. Patapotian, he is the researcher who described these channels. He received the Nobel Prize for the expression for identification of this channel and how this channel is applying in proprioception.
Wow.
So we were very happy. I think it was 6 years because we were already in pandemic. Yes, it was 2020. And yes, he received the Nobel Prize for that discovery. Wow. And we were happy because we were part of that, story. Our paper is very well cited, but he was the first one, and that happens in science. I mean, one of my lessons in that situation is like, no matter what happened with your work, most important is what you are doing for. Like, put it outside, put it there. That is the goal, to do something for society. Yes, your career is important, but what you are doing that for yourself, or really for helping someone. Because after that, actually, they come out with some mutations in humans that were related with that channel, and then those two words like help to correlate that mutations, and they identified that it was because of the PSO2 mutation. Many works now after that came out about PSO's channels. PSO1 is also very involved in interoception, but all mechanical related. Now they are looking for a channel that is help to the body to detect the pain mechanical sensation. That is also one of the big questions right now in sensory area.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive.
I would say also sad at some point. It's science, like I enjoy so much doing science because it's kind of a roller coaster.
Yeah,
like you're happy and then you're sad and a lot of work, and then you have a discovery and like just super excited, and then it come out like that drop. And then the publication, which is a very tough part of the.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
publications are tough. I mean, especially like getting them peer reviewed, like they can get like rejected like so many times for the smallest things before they get accepted. But
yeah,
I mean, like it's still great that you got yours published, and then your professor got the Nobel Prize a little bit later. Like that's crazy.
I mean, he doesn't know we exist, but it's very exciting when you see that, especially because one of the reasons make me know to give up, because when I saw the publication first, I told my boss, I need a few days. I need to think about my future career. At that time in my university, they don't require a publication for graduation. But I want my publication because it will be the door that opens my future opportunities for postdoc. So. But I at some point I was thinking like I don't want to do science anymore. If this is going to happen the rest of the time, it's going to be very frustrated. But that paper had like, I don't know, 8 of 10 people involved. They were doing physiology, molecular biology, behavior. They come out with a knockout animal. And in my paper, it was me, my boss, and another two researchers that they help us to construct a virus that we use for them. But I did everything,
Yeah.
and I was like, with very few resources, we were able to do a big thing. And it's funny because one of the co-authors in that paper now is a person. She's a PI at Columbia University. And when I came to Columbia, I was like, hey, I know you because you published that paper, the scoop my work. And now she's doing a beautiful job in proprioceptive area, and we are now collaborating
wow.
in some papers. We have one paper, and now we have probably gonna publish another one. That is also part of the science, it's a trip that never ends.
That's like really full circle, that moment
Yes.
is full circle.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
interesting. It's all the time. You have new questions. You explore more. That is the exciting part of the science.
Mhm.
Well, that makes sense.
I mean, in your story, you spoke a lot about the ups and downs of science and how there were times where it challenged you to really consider if this was the right path for you. Obviously, throughout your STEM journey, people go through those ups and downs of a bad test score or a challenge that they may not think they'd be able to overcome. So do you have any advice for someone who may be in that low point on how to get over that and keep themselves motivated to keep going?
Look, as a scientist, I
Mhm.
should be followed by facts. But I truly believe that life put you in the right moment, in the right place. And science, many people say that is 80% lucky, 20% your work. But without that 20% that you have to push and keep going and insist and knock doors and apply for grants, that 80% of lucky is not going to happen never. So I will say keep pushing. Like, be perseverant, be curious about your own area of interest, because that will open you more opportunities. And if you feel that there is an obstacles, for instance, publications, yes, it's very frustrated to receive a bad review and be rejected, and we have to be ready for that. But that is how science is built. Like, we have to be exposed to comments in our work that allow us to improve. Sometimes, and I must to say this to everyone, to all my students, is like, maybe I not agree with the system right now of the peer review, or how at least how the journals manage the peer review process. But be persistent. You have to play with the system to be successful. So look for that 80% of lucky of those opportunities, because that is gonna be the I don't consider myself like successful in that area. That I would like to be in this moment, to have my own lab, have my own projects running. I just got my grant, so I thought it's going to be easy. When I got the grant, it's like, okay, perfect, I got my grant. But even with the grant, right now, what is happening in the situation we are right now, we are struggling with what is going to happen tomorrow. So even for me at this stage, I need to keep pushing, keep doing what I want to do. Wake up and say, okay, this experiment is important, so I have to do it. So no matter what happened, what problems you have, or if you don't have good grades, maybe it's because your path is not that field. Maybe your path is another one. So I will suggest the students to keep pushing, and they will find a way to succeed in their dreams.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice.
Yeah, it really is.
I hope that works. It works for me so far. Let's see.
That's kind of what we do too. We despair together a lot. Like, me and Talia will have moments where we're really like, what are we doing? Like, and especially we have a lot of those moments with a lot of funding being cut and programs being cut, but at the end of the day, we're very confident that this is what we want to be doing, and that if we put in the effort, like maybe we won't see results right now, but we will see results.
Yeah. I hear that you also want to do like a industry period of time.
What?
You want to work in industry?
Oh yes, I do.
That is also, I mean, you are young. You can explore things.
Yeah.
To me, it's like I'm right now, like, I don't know, the Titanic, because for me it's harder to move my ship to explore new paths.
Yeah.
But you have all your life, you have the opportunity, the support of your parents. For us, in 20 years ago, especially countries like Colombia, Latin American countries, it was hard to go out to do something abroad, like study in another country or do like a short period of research. When I took that chance to go to Costa Rica, even though I hate plants, it opened my eyes. It was so amazing to see the research. It was I forgot to mention that, but it was in an institution that only have masters and doctoral programs, and I saw it was in constant relation with students that were in the masters or the PhD. So I thought I saw them like struggling also, like doing their research, and I was like, I don't want to work in plants, but I want to do that, and that experience also helped me. So you that have the opportunity to go abroad, like explore all of these, areas, that is very that is going to enrich your brain, yourself. That is very nice. I envy you so much.
I mean, research is obviously a very big part of your life, and that's your career, but you're also a professor. And was your first time teaching, was it our class, or had you taught before?
IB4 has been with the students in programs like summer programs. I was helping here in the Bronx Academy of Science and with some students during pandemic, which was mostly online. I was giving some seminars to students, but not running the entire like semester of class. That was my first time. So it's my second year teaching, and I enjoyed so much. First, because as I mentioned before, in science, you have those ups and downs, and that could happen in the same day. You can have just your ups and downs in the same day many times. With the students, when you teach them how is an action potential happening, or show them a brain, or you show them why your thoughts are, you can see your brain activity in the screen. I can see the excitement of them for like, oh, this is new. Wow, this is something I've never seen before, and that is very good for the professor. Like, you never go back home like thinking, oh, I didn't put like a seed in that and one student today. Like at least one of them is like getting something, which is good because you don't get that reward when you do just research.
Yeah.
And I actually I always want to have the opportunity of teach, but science is very demanding, and I was pushing in my own with my own PI, my own boss, to give me the opportunity. Like, can I teach this semester? Can I teach? He was like, no, focus on your research, focus on your paper. But applying to this grant that I just got, they told me during the process, like, you have to be different. That is also an advice I give to students. Like, you don't have to be the best one in your field, but you have, if you want to continue your career, you have to differentiate in the techniques, in the way you teach, in the questions you formulate, because that is going to make the difference for yourself in your future career. That is going to open also doors. So in this case, going back to the teaching part, my advisor for the grant, she say like, you have, why you don't look for teaching experience? And again, like the life put me in the right path. She told me that. I talked to my boss. He said, okay, let's do it. And 1 week later, a friend of mine say, look, there is a position at Fordham. Why you don't apply? And that was it. So it was everything was the universe
Yeah.
put everything together. And right now, actually, I love science, but the component of teaching, because once you become a scientist, you have to be a mentor. You have to be a mentor for your students, for your postdocs, and this part of teaching is so fundamental. It's teaching me also. I mean, I learn a lot about how to communicate the science, because I have before PIs and mentors that I appreciate so much their effort, but sometimes it was very difficult to to follow their advices. Probably because they were not the right one in that moment, because I don't know, many other issues that I had before with them. But it's a great opportunity that I have teaching and learning process for me. It's very good. And again, teaching neuroscience, for instance, you have to go back to your origins, like
Yeah.
go back to the concepts, and because in neuroscience especially, uh, people, when they focus in one region of the brain to study what is doing this particular cell, they are very expert, they are super good in that part, but they forgot about, okay, this cell is related maybe with what is happening in your liver, or I don't know, what is this cell when the die happened, then how it correlates with the spinal cord cells. So going back to that and see how neuroscience could be a because in the class we use so many animal models that is also important. So people specialize only mouse, only in Drosophila. So that also help us to see how science could be very uh, open field to study different questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions that we want to touch on, or do you think? I think you did a fantastic job of giving
Thank
advice
you.
and going through your story and stuff. This has been extremely helpful, obviously
Yeah.
to us, but hopefully to you guys too.
One thing I just want to like emphasize even more that you actually said, Dr. Flores, is you don't have to be the best in your field, but like you should bring some diversity and something different, or like a different technique or a different outlook, because not enough people say that. And I feel like in STEM, everyone is always like, no, you have to be the best, like you have to get all A's, and it's such a competitive field, but like that's not true. The only way like STEM is going to expand is if you have different outlooks and people coming and being like, oh, well, I had this idea. And like, you don't have to be the best of the best, you just have to be curious and just keep on researching and like bring a new perspective. And that's just something that's very important, that I think everyone, no matter your age, no matter really where you are in life, at what stage in life you are, you should remember.
Yeah, if I must say, see the students now struggling so much with, I want my 10. I want to have my final in an A plus because I need for my career. I see the pressure for being the best, and as a scientist also, people to continue in your career, they judge you based on your success, and your success are how high your papers are what is the impact factor of those papers that you have, or how many papers you have. But sometimes you don't have to be in that high level. Probably the question that you ask is very fundamental for one person, or just for basic science, like you trying to answer something that nobody has explored before, and the reward that you have from that field, from that path, it could be much better than have a successful career as a high-sided scientist. So it's good to hear it from the students. that you think also that way. I hope that helped everyone or some people here.
Absolutely. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people will be able to take something away.
And if you have, questions, doubts, I don't have an office, but I have, contacts. It's easy
Yeah.
to find.
We'll,
If you
we'll
have questions
paste-
more,
yeah,
Contacts,
we'll
yes.
paste Dr. Flores' email and add all of your stuff to our episode
Yeah.
description.
Of course. Actually, on that note, do you have anything else you want to shout out or plug, or anything you want people to check out, keep in mind, any parting words?
I know there are difficult times right now, but some of them we didn't expect it. But there are many ways to overcome these situations, and especially I just mentioned before, you're young, you have many opportunities. Science is an explore universe right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we have picked only the tiny little piece of what is to discover, and is every time we have the opportunity to do more and more. So keep pushing, and think big. One thing, sorry, I forgot to mention that even though if your question is small, you still can think big.
Mhm.
I remember when I was a student, I told my friends, I will win the Nobel Prize sometime. And I make jokes. And if they see this podcast, they will remember that time. And they always make jokes with that. Probably I will not win the Nobel Prize, but that goal, that high standard that you put yourself, make you to, even though your question is simple but important, that make you to go higher and higher at the end. Okay. So hopefully that is going to be good for someone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible interview. We thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, and keep doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Flores. I really enjoyed this. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
During teaching, has there ever been a time where you were explaining something and you just like completely blanked and were like, oh my god, like what am I supposed to say? Like,
You should ask me how many times that happened every class. My class right now is 6 to 9:15 Wednesdays is bio with PSCs. I've been working whole day. I'm no native speaker, English speaker, so at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., when I try to explain some concepts, some words are like just don't come out. And you are my TA right now, so you know that sometimes I'm like, Sophia, just help me. Tell me what is this means. This word, like I just trying to you read my mind. So that happens sometimes. Yes, because we are tired. And yes, to me is something that I try to remember the topic like I was studying the topic. But same thing happens to students. I notice in the presentations. But yes, to me is a constant. That is my big problem as a professor. But I'm trying to work on that. Yeah, that happens many times. Thank you for asking, and thank you for pointing out. My most embarrassing.
I think you did a great job of like keeping it going.
You play it
You
off
really well.
and it makes it seem that like, oh, maybe you're asking me to test me or something. Like no one has to know that you're actually blanking.
And you know what is funny? Normally, what I notice after class is that like either I remember the term after a few minutes, and it's like in the middle of an explanation, and that happens this class many times. You notice it. It's like, oh, what I want to say before is this.
What I was talking about before, it's this.
It's this term because it comes to my mind. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Oh, that's awesome too.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a signs of brain damage when I was older and that come out later. But no, I believe me, I have a very bad memory. and I understand sometimes the students that have. Please don't take advantage of these, but I understand the students sometimes that has issue with the quizzes or the text test because to me it was like a memorization is a skill, and but that time when I was in college, we didn't have much access to internet, and we have to read our books and make our cards. So we didn't have much tools, neither phones. We have nothing at that time. So I'm not that old, but yes, still we don't have much tools, and still at that time my memorization was kind of an issue. And science is a field you require that. So now you have easy access to more tools. So I see the students using cards and using their phones to, downloading apps to memorize things. So probably something that I have to do too.
So as you guys can see, as accomplished and intelligent as Dr. Flores is, he too he too has his blunders.
Yeah.